Okay guys, welcome back to part 2 where we're going to be putting this back together. I want to show you something though that actually after I cut the video and was just messing around a little bit on part 1, there is some rust here that's quite bad on the center pin of the ejector rod. I got some off my finger there. Yeah, just the only rust really in the whole thing I could find to speak of that was of any consequence. And it wipes away easy enough, but that was the one and only spot that seemingly had some trouble. It's right there. Not bad. Not bad at all. Go ahead and wipe that with some rim oil. Because if you guys watch many of these videos, you'll know this is my favorite way to oil stuff up. It's just a paintbrush like that, and it works great for just applying a nice light coat of oil. Same here. Just a cheap 2-inch paintbrush from Home Depot, some rim oil. Line it up with its little slot there. And it goes. And we've got to spin counterclockwise. Set that aside. Okay, let's get back to the frame. Make sure that's getting snug. On this, I think all I'm going to do is just take a cleaning patch and try to wipe around pretty good. You want to be careful doing this because sometimes a lot of these edges on the insides of these revolvers are very, very sharp, and you can run a finger along an edge and absolutely slice yourself, and they are razor blade sharp sometimes. Pretty good. I'm gonna run this around just in the corners and stuff to make sure that I'm not leaving any residue there. I'm mainly just doing this for demonstration. I will probably go back after the video is over and do a very thorough job in here. I'm just demonstrating technique mainly so you guys can see the way I like to do the work here. But I'm not being especially thorough right now because you guys don't want to sit here and watch me do this for you probably don't want to sit here and watch me do it for as long as I'm doing it right now, but certainly don't want me to sit here and nitpick every nook and cranny for an hour. And you can see how that leaves just a very nice, even, but very light coat of oil in there. And that's just rim oil. Just rim oil. What am I doing? Go back in with the trigger and the hand. And reassembling this, I want to make sure that I am pulling back on the hand and do not let it drag on the back of the frame here. You scar that thing up in a hurry doing that, and then you'll be really sad. I'd be really sad if I did that, because this is such a beautiful, beautiful revolver. Let that forward, it sits into its groove. Working beautifully. Working beautifully. And you notice that when I was doing this, I was primarily touching, except for where I had to on the hand there, primarily touching the bottom of the trigger here where it's exposed. That way when the gun's back together, I am able to oil that. All right, brief interruption. Let's go back in with the Rebound slide now. Just gonna give it the same treatment with some oil. Like so. I'm giving this a little bit more oil than I did the trigger. And when I'm putting this back together, I want to make sure that this little divot in here lines up with this link on the back of the trigger there. Just like that. And we're setting on the Rebound slide stud back here with a spring resting on top of it, like you see. And I'm going to take, I'm going to throw this thing first. I'm going to take this and use the Reassembly side that has this little notch cut in it. Face that down. Kind of put my thumb here to support this. And it comes down halfway. I like to flip it around and actually use the disassembly part to kind of take the tension off to where this comes and sets down flat, nice and easily. Some folks kind of brute force it, but I don't like doing that just because of fear of breaking one of these studs. I try to be very gentle with them because in this disassembled condition, they are not supported on the other side. So they're in a kind of a compromised state whenever the revolver is apart. So I like to be very respectful of them. Let's go ahead and put our hammer back in. To do that, we're going to need to pull the trigger back. There we are. I'm going to take the hammer, which I have, did I oil it already? I can't remember. So, oil that up, just to make sure I do, because I can't remember if I did. I don't think I did it on video at least, so make sure that you guys get to see it. Trigger's pull. Start the hammer on, pull back on the cylinder latch so the bolt's out of the way of it. Pop that link up. That was not the most graceful I have ever done that, but there we go. And you can tell I'm a little bit OCD about oiling these parts during reassembly, but I just like to make sure that after I've handled these things that they are getting a nice light coat of oil just for protection from my handprints, if nothing else. And down here in this humid climate, just a good idea to do it. Okay, and we'll put the mainspring back on there. down into his slot, and we'll retension it now. Make sure it's sitting nice and even in there. And snug it down. It comes to a hard stop, sits flush in the front of the grip. Beautiful. Go back in with our side plate, oil that up, making sure that I'm getting these areas that are in the white. It's not a heavy coat of oil, just enough to make sure that everything is protected, especially after being handled. And down here in this climate, it is just a good idea. And the way I like to do this is I've got a particular strategy. Different people do this different ways. The way I like to get your hammer block back in is to put it in here pretty much most of the way up, about like that. And then I like to take the side plate in this notch for the hammer block to ride in. I kind of start low, put it on there, and then use that to kind of guide myself into place with the side plate. And that helps get that hammer block right where it needs to be, so that when you press this back together, that actually fit really nicely. Sometimes these are a little finagly. And when I shake it, I can hear it moving in there, because it should move. It should move freely in this condition. You shouldn't feel it, well, it shouldn't bound up, and you shouldn't have any issues getting this side plate to go down relatively evenly. You can see it's still holding off a few thousandths, but it's not rocking or anything like you might have if that was not in its channel. And we hear it moving. So that's exactly what we want. Go ahead and put the cylinder back in. I'm just going to be gentle here, make sure that I don't bend this rod or anything while it's out of the gun. It's in a kind of vulnerable state right now. Easy enough to damage it while everything's back together. Certainly easy to do it when it isn't back together. Take the crane here. Crane. Yoke. It's a Smith Wesson, so we have to call it a yoke. Keep everybody happy. We'll just set that there. And oddly enough, the yoke actually had some oil on it when I disassembled it. And I don't know if I put that on there years back, maybe just by dripping it in, or maybe the prior owner did. I doubt that that oil has been there for 40 years. I just don't think it would last that long. So maybe I did that, maybe I didn't. Maybe the prior owner did, I don't know. Maybe it bled in from when I put Croil on the screws here. Hard to say. Front screw goes in the front. Middle screw goes in the middle. Back screw goes in the back. I'm going to be very careful here to make sure that I don't skid off of any of these and mar the frame. I'm going to backspin. And then go forward gently. When it feels like it's about right, I like to get a solid click off of these where they override the threads, kind of ratchet over. There it is on that one. A lot more defined there. This one felt good, but didn't get that audible click like this one gave us. I'm not tightening these up really hard right now because I like to do them evenly, slowly, just to make sure that I'm not getting any kind of weird resistance from the side plate wanting to seat as it's supposed to. But everything feels really good, like it's pressing down very evenly. Going back to the back one here. And it has resistance, but it feels like good normal resistance that it's just pressing the side plate down in. Nothing that is alarming. You kind of get a feel for this after doing it a bunch of times. You know what feels within the realm of normal, and you know what doesn't. This all feels quite good. And they come to a hard stop. I have no idea what just happened outside. It didn't sound good though. My toolbox fell over or something. Wonderful, look at that. And before we put the stocks back on, make sure that I just get the grip area, anything that is going to be covered by the wood. Nice coating with our brush. Some automotive work going on outside. Isn't that lovely? Oh well, we're about done anyway. Not a big deal. Back spin to feel my click. And just snug it up. Excellent. And everything is functioning just as you'd expect. Great. Well, there it is, folks. An inspection of the Smith Wesson Model 19-4, all back together and ready for another 40 years of being a fine piece of American craftsmanship. So, thanks so much for watching. If you enjoy it, like and subscribe, and check back for another great video some other time. See you later.